Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear us and see us okay. We'll give everyone another 10 to 15 seconds to make sure that anyone that's still joining has access, and then we will kick this webinar off. So we'll give it just a second here. Okay, great. Well, one, I'd like to welcome everyone to our government talk today on navigating 2023's trends and challenges in the government sector. We'll do a couple rounds of introductions and then we will jump into today's content. So first of all, my name is Tom Mersman. I am the head of sales for our North American division here at Rocket.Chat. And we have some very special guests in attendance today. This is a joint webinar, Rocket.Chat and General Dynamics Mission Systems. And one of the things we'd like to announce today is that we have formed a very exciting new partnership that is delivering next generation functionality to the Pitbull system with secure communication specifically. And so a little bit on GDMS, or General Dynamics Mission Systems, is that they build products and deliver technology for platforms like combat vehicles, submarines, aircraft, satellites, and advanced systems that can sense danger, quickly act on those threats, and share life-saving information. They have decades of experience in engineering systems that are designed to work every day, every time, without fail. And so we have a few members of the GDMS team and a member of the Rocket.Chat team here today. From GDMS, we have Joyce Fay. Joyce is currently analyzing market needs and defining commercial technology-based solutions for securing the transformation of modern multi-level secure enterprises. She has 30 years of system security analysis, system architecture design and engineering, product management, and marketing experience spanning the DoD, intelligence communities, and federal and civil agency communities. So Joyce, we're thrilled to have you in attendance today. On the Rocket.Chat side, we have Chris Brown. Chris Brown is a dynamic sales leader with over 27 years of success in information technology, software, security solutions, and SaaS products. And Chris has spent a significant portion of his professional career delivering leading edge technology solutions to the federal government and the public sector. And last but certainly not least, we have Stephanie Meckel. Stephanie leads the multi-level security solutions business at GDMS, which is a team who focuses on developing and deploying modern secure MLS capabilities across a growing set of enterprise networks. With a background in software engineering, she bridges the gap between technology, customers, and user needs, ensuring they are able to deliver the best solutions for the mission time and time again. Now, a couple notes on today's live stream. We would love to see where all of the attendees are calling in from, and thank you again for joining today. You can utilize that chat component in the bottom right of your screen to let us know where you're attending from today. You will also have the ability to send questions into that chat portion as well. And so there are members of the Rocket.Chat team that will be moderating that chat section, and we are going to try and save some time at the end for a Q&A session. So don't be shy, and please feel free to throw your questions into that section. Lastly, is that this live stream and webinar will be recorded and sent to all attendees and registrants today. So we will aim to have that in your email inboxes before the end of the day today. Great, so let's jump into today's content. So as a brief introduction, some of the things that we've been talking about with GDMS and our partners is that government organizations are being challenged to upgrade their internal processes in order to deploy innovative new services and enable more effective communication and collaboration across the board. And recent study from Gartner predicts that worldwide government IT spending is going to grow 6.8% in 2023 for a total of $588 billion. However, digitalization processes are even more challenging to security-centric organizations. Digital sovereignty is key for public service organizations. It's crucial for the Department of Defense, intelligence community, and federal civil agencies to exercise full control over all of their data. And at the same time, they need to find a way to make collaboration more efficient across the board as well. So our first question for the group today, this is for all of the speakers, is around concern over data security cannot be seen as a trend in the public sector. It's a historical necessity in this sector ultimately. So I want to kick off this section by understanding from you, the speakers, why this subject has gotten even more attention recently and how this concern in 2023 is ultimately different from previous years as well.
Thanks, Tom. I'll jump in on that one. So as you stated, data security is absolutely foundational to the community the public sector serves. And this has been even more top of mind recently as we think about our ever-changing technology landscape and the advanced threats we're seeing from our adversaries. To quote the DoD Zero Trust strategy that was released in November, our adversaries are in our networks, exfiltrating our data and exploiting our users. The rapid growth of these offensive threats emphasizes the need for the DoD to adapt and significantly improve our deterrent strategies and cybersecurity implementations. To meet these challenges, the DoD requires an enhanced cybersecurity framework built upon zero trust principles that must be adopted across the department, enterprise-wide, and as quickly as possible. So this is really what's been driving the additional attention we've seen recently surrounding data security. And that momentum has been growing with additional executive orders and mandates that, Joyce, I think you can speak to well.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. So there are 3 major mandates, executive orders, and strategies that are driving this renewed interest and reinvigorated emphasis on modernization, cybersecurity, and cyber resilience. The first one, President Biden's 2021 executive order, improving the nation's cybersecurity, aimed to protect critical infrastructure from further attacks by modernizing the nation's cybersecurity, modernizing and implementing more robust cybersecurity standards, and implementing a zero trust architecture that protects data in a cohesive way across multiple classification levels. Number 2, the DoD Digital Modernization Strategy set in motion IT reform, right? The modernization that Chris was talking about, consolidating and converging IT infrastructure to drive efficiencies, converging networks, network and security services into consolidated, secure, and effective environments that can quickly flex to meet changing missions. And the third thing was the DoD Software Modernization Strategy that was published in February of 2022 to transform the delivery of software from years to minutes. Like, how do we shift secure software delivery to the left through modern infrastructures and platforms? So what we saw was in January 2022, they established the DoD Zero Trust Portfolio Management Office within the DoD CIO to architect and orchestrate these efforts that were outlined in the DoD Zero Trust Strategy document, and essentially accelerate the adoption of Zero Trust through several courses of actions. In October 2022, they released the DoD Zero Trust Strategy, and in November, they established the first course of action. And the first course of action sets a timeline for a DoD baseline to achieve target level zero trust by the end of fiscal year 27. The strategy outlines 90 capabilities at the target level zero trust and an additional 62 capabilities to get to the advanced level zero trust intended for the nation's security systems. So each of the services of the DoD are now out there defining their zero trust strategy and an approach to guide where they're going to spend their time and their effort and their focus through fiscal year 28.
Thank you, Stephanie, Joyce. And, just to add, some additional context, we know the effort to modernize government IT systems is, very ambitious, far-reaching initiative. And it seeks, especially when you come to digitally transforming aging operations. So this transformation will give the government the ability to tackle some of the country's most challenging problems, including zero trust. Obviously, this has profound implications for a wide range of activities, including protecting sensitive government data from hackers, responding to disasters, managing public health emergencies, and enabling citizens to access services and benefits. These type of complex efforts requires the government and industry, working together to respond. And, in order to modernize, agencies must be able to discover and deploy, the latest technologies. And this is a daunting task given the complexity of government systems and the vast array of options. So finding the best way forward, can be easier with the expert guidance of trusted industry partners. And this is where someone like our General Dynamics Mission Systems folks come in. They've been helping agencies develop and manage their biggest and most sophisticated IT projects for decades.
Great. Thank you, Joyce and Chris. Moving on to our next question. This is to Joyce and Chris specifically. And the question is, what factors must be taken into account when searching for digital tools that ensure data sovereignty and secure collaboration?
Great. So Zero Trust moves defenses from static network-based perimeters to focus on the users, the assets, including data and resources. So the challenge is finding tools that enable an organization to both seamlessly secure and share information simultaneously while adhering to these zero trust principles. It's further amplified in the DoD, where the warfighter, mission planners, digital designers, they contend with multiple classified networks with siloed systems and data, which together essentially hampers collaboration, information sharing, and fundamentally mission execution. So here are some key factors to consider. Does the tool provide trusted, tagged, and labeled data so you can confidently share it with trusted partners? Can the tool assure that the data is protected, secured, and accessed by only the people who need it, when they need it, using least privilege principles? Can it protect data in a cohesive way across multiple classification levels? Is the security baked in? Does it simplify the environment? Does it allow you to converge your networks and consolidate services? Fundamentally, are you able to defend critical and sensitive information by effectively managing access to that information across varying levels of security and data classifications? And while doing so, does the same infrastructure used to guard this information also allow normal operations to continue in a timely manner?
No, spot on, Joyce. And, obviously some of the key challenges here is just a tremendous explosion of data, that's occurring and making it difficult for mission owners to make sense of all the information that's generated across multiple environments. And I think that you see these initiatives, such as the Army's, fielding velocity, right, where they're trying to unify and modernize the network, and adapt and scale across multiple elements. Right? You want to have those secure communications and shift away from mission partner networks that are, theater specific and rule based to a true mission partner environment. So as we, collaborate and engage, you want to be able to create that, that mission partner environment, what they call MPE, and, giving commanders the ability to share information and exchange data at the speed of relevance with mission partners across multiple classifications.
Great. Well said. Thank you. So the next question will be to Stephanie and Chris specifically. Communication efficiency is universally valued and it has a direct impact on profitability in the private sector. When it comes to public organizations, however, effective communication is even more critical, and the success of a critical mission often ultimately depends on it. So we would love to jump into what are the biggest challenges to effective collaboration in the government sector today?
So based on what we've seen and heard, Tom, I'd say the three biggest challenges when it comes to collaboration are collaborating securely, efficiently, and in a usable manner. When we talk about communication in the government sector, we're not just talking about communication of data. We're talking about communication of very sensitive, often highly secure data. This community works in environments where data protection and data integrity is of the utmost importance. So in order to protect this mission data, it must be segregated depending on where it came from, what it contains, and who needs access to it. Today's IT infrastructure does an excellent job at ensuring that the data is kept very secure, but unfortunately that's led to many legacy silos that prevent easy information analysis and data cohesion. So there are thousands of disparate systems in today's government IT environment, making it challenging to securely share information across security levels and driving an inefficient user workflow. That efficiency becomes even more critical when users in the government sector are working in operational environments where the speed of communication and collaboration is absolutely critical. Not only does data need to be shared, but it needs to be shared quickly. And lastly, in this environment, often due to security restrictions or the restraints of closed networks, users may likely be working on legacy systems or technology that are not intuitive to use, and this further hinders the ability for users to communicate and collaborate at the speed of the mission.
Completely agree, Stephanie, and thank you for that. And I think that's where open source, has become such a mission critical foundation, right? Open source technologies evolve rapidly based on diverse contributions from global companies, government agencies, universities, and individuals. What's I think one of the fundamentals is the code's transparent, and it's making it, and as a result, it's more secure based on the visibility into all components. So government can inspect and scan 100% of the code, which means that the time to mission is faster. So boosting this collaboration and positive outcomes just increases mission success.
Yep, agreed. Cool. We'll move on to our next question now. This is for Joyce and Chris specifically. We would love to learn more about how General Dynamics Mission Systems and Rocket.Chat are collaborating to bring secure communications at the speed of the mission ultimately.
If you don't mind, Tom, I'd actually love to jump in first and help kind of restate the problem that we're trying to solve with our partnership. And I'd like to do that by reading a quote from the Air Force CIO that speaks really well to this problem space. She said, if we can get to a point where we know who you are, that we have our data tagged, that we can get to multi-level security, that we maybe not have folks like the US Air Force commander have 22 different networks in 5 different machines on their desk, then we can fight a lot more easily. As she aptly pointed out, everyday users are faced with accessing multiple networks with upwards of 5 different machines on their desks to accomplish daily tasks. We affectionately dub this as the swivel chair effect, when a user swivels from one machine to an adjacent machine to perform daily workflows across multiple different classified machines, which often slows down the user or impedes the mission timelines. The users really need one pane of glass. And multi-level security provides this pivotal capability in these environments because it allows the users to access the data across various security clearances and allows that data to come together in the same secure workplace, and then they can communicate in real time without compromising any of the security. The MLS environments provide users the security, the flexibility, and the interoperability needed to complete missions safely, efficiently, and effectively. So that's part of what drove us to the partnership we're introducing today between our TrueMLS portfolio and Rocket.Chat. Through this collaboration, General Dynamics Mission Systems brings a commercial chat collaboration product into the MLS environment. This new integrated solution provides users an MLS-aware chat capability, enabling users to communicate instantaneously while at different sites and different classification levels. Joyce, can you walk us through the new product that was built in collaboration with Rocket.Chat to specifically solve this mission and support our users?
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. We're really excited to add TrueMLS Chat as the next product in our TrueMLS collaboration suite, which includes secure mail and secure file sharing. TrueMLS Chat is just the latest product in our portfolio. GDS MLS capabilities have been in use in the SAP community for over 25 years on accredited enterprise networks, providing users seamless and secure collaboration capabilities. I want to emphasize the fact that the foundational operating system that we use in TrueMLS Chat is not a new technology. Pitbull has been in use since the 1990s. It's a full multi-level commercial Linux distribution based off of Red Hat. But what we do is we enhance the security of the Linux through modifications to the operating system kernel, system utilities, and networking. And why that's really important is that fundamentally we have the layers of protection that are built into the operating system. So what I wanted to go through was to talk through a little bit about what the capabilities are in our TrueMLS Chat solution with Rocket.Chat. And so TrueMLS Chat provides an enterprise-wide multi-level chat capability that allows users to use an unmodified, modern, open source chat communication tool, Rocket.Chat, in an MLS environment. So what you see displayed on the screen right now is essentially a web-based application that's accessed via a browser, right? So users from multiple different sites can chat across multiple classification levels instead of communicating via email or switching between multi-level single systems. So what you can essentially have is a single pane of glass, right? The thing that we were talking about earlier, trying to avoid that swivel seat. So from this single pane of glass, a user can have access to chat sessions at multiple classification levels. So users see on the left the channels that they're authorized for, right? And they have access to unmodified commercial chat capabilities through Rocket.Chat. We place banners so that the user can see what level the classification level is for their chat session, right? And we provide the ability to audit all the messages and ensure that sensitive information is not passed through the chat channels themselves. And so users are able to communicate at various levels from a single window, right? So that solves some of the usability challenges that Stephanie pointed out earlier. But users can join at chat channels that are at or below their clearance level. They cannot see any channels that they're not authorized to see, so that therein lies some of the zero trust principles we talked about earlier. And when we have built-in persistent chat capabilities and audit functions, again, adhering to zero trust principles. Sort of like the magic sauce that we bring to the table is what we dub the MLS broker, right? And it's the back-end MLS broker that ensures communications locked down to only the level that the users are authorized for. So the MLS broker adjudicates the level of the chat session. Messages that are sent via the chat session are examined to ensure that any dirty words are not passed through that chat session. So we essentially have taken an off-the-shelf, open source, available application and MLS enabled it. So here are some of the use cases. I mean, we're really excited about how multi-level chat can actually complement the everyday mission, right? That allow you to, if you're doing source selection, if you're doing digital engineering or development engineering, or mission planning and analytics, multi-level chat can support you. So for example, I mean, if you look at the users there, we have 2 government users, Maggie and Mabel. They could be in a chat session discussing what's currently happening on a source selection, right? That they could have chat sessions perhaps with the contractors that they're involved with, right? So Maggie could be in a secret chat session with their contractor, while Mabel is on a secret chat session with another contractor. So what you have is essentially a single solution, right, to MLS chat that allows you to essentially establish chat channels to communicate and to improve the productivity of your everyday mission.
I don't know what else there is to add, Stephanie and Joyce. Fantastic job. I think I would just summarize the fact that, we take great pride in the partnership and in the ability to enable mission critical collaboration, really without security compromises.
Agreed. Yeah, very well said. I think we're all very excited about the partnership and the new technology as well. And so before we move on to the Q&A session, we did want to update the attendees today on the significant improvements that are being released in Rocket.Chat's next major release, version 6.0, as we know that chat will continue to have an impact on the government landscape. And Rocket.Chat 6.0 will make our collaborative solution even more secure and comprehensive. So Chris, please tell us more about Rocket.Chat 6.0.
We're really excited about the most latest release here, and it builds on Rocket.Chat's, secure communication, secure workflow collaboration, really, the DevSecOps and secure workflow collaboration for government. So building on our legacy there, we're very excited to announce, our certification with Iron Bank. So for those, Iron Bank is a central repository of digitally signed containers or container images, including open source and commercial off-the-shelf, hardened to DoD's specific specifications. These approved containers tend to have DoD-wide reciprocity across all classifications. And, and this proof is if you go through these rigorous DoD software standards. So it's a significant milestone for Rocket.Chat. And, Iron Bank really ups the game on supply chain security, seeking out and eliminating, attack vectors, and plays well into other aspects whether it's the Big Bang, which is the platform for services tailored to mission need, and then you move into their cloud native access point, or their party bus, which is actually delivering the capabilities to the DoD organizations. So very excited around that part. In addition to improvements with the data sovereignty, you'll see that we have audit panel improvements. So the audit panel, full functionality. We were able to export audited conversations, empowering administrators to file reports and present to leadership teams, or have future references to support in the audit process. We have enhanced feature functionality around our CVE resolutions, right? I mean, the bane of existence for anyone deploying software are the CVEs. And so to continue to improve operational security, which we know is a constantly shifting sand dune, right? Where all the time new vectors are being explored by hackers. It's something that you have to constantly have to stay ahead of. And we believe with the Rocket.Chat current program of both internal and external vulnerability analysis, that we close these vulnerabilities and we close these to potentially back to that zero trust or non-zero potential for vulnerabilities. So in addition, we've continued to improve our end-to-end encryption and a host of security features and functionality, which we'd be more than happy, in the interest of time here, to schedule time with anyone interested to go into a deep dive on what those would look like.
Beautiful. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, Rocket.Chat 6.0 is very near and dear to our heart. So follow us on social media so that you guys can have access to the newest release once that becomes publicly available. So for the next section, let's jump into the Q&A component of the webinar today. We do have some questions in the chat, so I will read those aloud and let the speakers address those. The first question from attendees today, excuse me, is the true MLS broker considered stateless, OOB, or does it live at the high side level? So that's probably a Joyce or Stephanie question.
Yes. So the MLS broker lives on the high side, right? When we're talking about a multi-level secure environment. So essentially it sits behind Rocket.Chat and adjudicates all of the chat sessions to ensure that users are only connected to the chat sessions that they're authorized for.
And just to add on to that, Joyce, what's unique about the broker and our ability to offer this multi-level capability is the foundation is built on the trusted operating system that labels everything and maintains those labels. So all of the data on the back end is kept in the multi-level enclave, and it's able to tag all the data and maintain the labels across all the different communication channels. And that's what makes sure that no one is able to access or see anything that they're not authorized to.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add a little bit about sort of the ease of integration that we had working with Rocket.Chat and bringing our two technologies together. Like, we were able to put banners up with the different security channels. I mean, it was a great partnership.
Perfect. Thank you. Great. Another question from the audience is, can you discuss how the concepts within True MLS align with the zero trust maturity model as outlined by the CIO? That's probably for GDMS.
Yeah, I'll take that, Tom. Thank you. All right. So zero trust assumes that the network is always at risk of being exposed to threats and requires all users to be authenticated and authorized. And no network is implicitly considered trusted. So as I said earlier, zero trust moves the defenses from the static network-based perimeters to focus on the users, the assets, and resources. And True MLS aligns with that focus, right? So for services where networks and environments are being collapsed into a common network and data fabric, it's imperative to perform mandatory access control to protect all resource data, network packets, processes, printers, devices. And True MLS provides mandatory access control, discretionary access control, and role-based access control. And with mandatory access control, it is system enforced, right? Based on both user permissions and object labels. So each resource is labeled, as Stephanie pointed out, and the access rights for each resource is captured in a sensitivity label, and it's verified against the clearance and the compartment of an authenticated user. So labeling is a function of the underlying Pitbull trusted operating system that's used in our True MLS products. Labels are applied to all operating system subjects and objects. As I said earlier, users, processes, resources, files, network packets. It's not something that's just tacked on at the application level. Our products adhere to at least privileging of not only users, but processes are also given privileges and need for operations. Authorizations are narrowly tailored and enforced separation of user privileges and roles. So fundamentally, we align with the zero trust principles, which are continually authenticating users and user accesses, maintaining real-time environmental access attributes. We know where users are connecting in from, securing applications and processes, providing robust data protection and data tagging, and maintaining and enforcing granular policy and access controls.
Great. Thank you, Joyce. Another question from the audience is, does this have applicability for local law enforcement agencies and other public safety agencies?
Great question. I can jump in there. I think it definitely does. This product was really built to support any users who have a need to collaborate in real time, but have the restrictions of protecting the data they're sharing or who they're communicating with across different levels. So if there's a need to communicate with various other stakeholders or communities who they work with while continuing to protect the data, making sure that they are unable to, or they're able to manage who's sharing data, adjudicate all of the conversations to protect the data that they're discussing. I think it's definitely applicable to that use case.
Rocket.Chat. I'm sorry, I don't need to jump in there, Joyce, but Rocket.Chat has been deployed in several of these environments, to date, and a lot of it, is around that, say leveraging our auditing logs, to allow specific users to verify who and when a conversation was inspected, allowing specific users such as auditors to read any encrypted conversation between users, and then especially with our data loss prevention, right? Where we can ensure that sensitive information is never shared. We avoid those data leaks, and we can automatically triage any type of sensitive words or expressions through an approval process.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, the examples that we used today were around classification, clearance levels, but this model can apply to any work group, right? However you want to separate your projects or your teams, the underlying technology can equally make those authorization decisions.
Yeah, great question there. Great. Another question from the audience. Chris, I'll probably gear this one towards you. But since we're seeing a trend towards digital communication between government agencies and citizens, what are the benefits and obstacles to implementing this?
Well, I think that, we were talking earlier about, some of these, it's just it's a major effort, right? It's almost an overwhelming effort when you're looking at the scope of government. And one of the recent regulations basically were to open up, one of Biden's recent regulations was to open up government to citizens, right? To create that citizen journey and being able to have multiple channels, which, Rocket.Chat calls omni-channel, but having multiple channels of communication, which basically means the citizen can communicate with their government agency, whether it's a state and local, it's the IRS, you're interacting with the communication of your choice, whether that's an email, a text message, tweeting them. It's opening access and improving those government services, and just as importantly, the government delivery of those services to the citizens. So meeting the citizen where they, how they want to communicate, all the time, keeping data secure, whether it's through HIPAA or ISO 27001 or other mandates.
Exactly. And we do have quite a few use cases that highlight that as well today also. Great. Another question from the audience. One of the issues we see when dealing with information sharing across multiple mission partners is that different operations require coordination briefed to different classifications and caveats. And these changes may be needed in real time. Can you explain if True MLS helps with those types of scenarios? And that's probably for Joyce and Stephanie.
Sure, I can jump in. So I'd say absolutely. That's one of the key use cases that we support across our MLS portfolio. So as Joyce mentioned when she walked through the chat product, the real benefit is that you have a single screen, a single pane of glass, and any user who is on your network can access it, but they are continuously being adjudicated to ensure that they only see the channels or the chats that they're cleared to, authorized to. So there are persistent and dynamic chat channels, and they can continuously be talking with different users in their community real time and the tool and the built-in security and the broker will be adjudicating to make sure there's never any risk that they are added to a channel that they are not authorized to see. So if you're the user, you could be communicating with someone who's gathering sensor data or mission data at one level, and then you could switch over to another channel with your key stakeholders or your leadership team and be communicating with them without having to walk over to your different system and log in and authenticate there. So it really does provide that real-time communication capability.
Well said, Stephanie. Yeah, and I think that Rocket.Chat's granular security controls, right? We can configure custom rules and role-based access controls, all from that single dashboard to manage whether you're dealing with coalition partners, NATO, Five Eyes, or other internal and external collaborators.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and if we don't have any other questions, we will be wrapping this up momentarily. But if there are any questions we missed, or if someone has a question that they did not put in the chat section, please reach out to us directly and we will be happy to assist you. And we're going to conclude this with a poll, which you can utilize in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen again. And the question is, would you like to know more about the partnership between TrueMLS and Rocket.Chat? Go ahead and click on the poll tab and you can select your answer there. And while people are filling in that answer, we just want to thank everyone for attending today. We know everyone's busy, but this is a new partnership that both Rocket.Chat and GDMS are very excited about. So we do appreciate people carving time out to attend this today. And we will be recording this and sending it out before the end of the day, like I had mentioned previously. So keep an eye on your inbox if you would like to have access to that recording. But also a very special thank you to Stephanie and Joyce from the GDMS side. It's been great to have you guys here. And of course, thank you to my colleague, Chris, for helping us navigate this as well. So thanks for attending. We appreciate it, and we will talk soon.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tom.
everyone.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everyone.